Hey traders, it is just 12 o'clock on Tuesday the 12th, and we've got a Trump speech coming up. But I thought it would be good while we're waiting for this. I really think the Q&A session is going to be most important with the speech, but might as well go ahead and send out a trade idea that I put on earlier today, and I just wanted to give a little bit of the reasoning why I'm going into this trade. So we know that over the last few weeks, we've seen this mad scramble into value areas, and I think just looking at this chart, first of all, today it looks like growth is outperforming today, right? So you got value in the numerator, growth in the denominator, and you could see a decent move back. And we're certainly seeing a number of sectors the last 2 days perform a little bit better in growth. So it continues to be kind of a seesaw, right? Growth has been underowned, and we've seen that kind of scramble in. In my opinion, it's also has gotten very cheap to growth. But it's going to continue to be that seesaw, right? As more and more investors go into value, then growth is going to get cheaper, and back and forth we go. But I do think value, is becoming more in vogue. So I don't think that this is going to be. I think what I'm trying to say is value could have more to run versus growth. So one name that I find pretty interesting, I'm looking at a weekly chart because that's, I think, a good place to start. And Kraft Heinz, this Kraft Heinz I think is pretty underowned. It's been so beaten up, and what I find interesting about this is it already had earnings, and we're seeing some kind of out of the money, some shots kind of being taken here on Kraft Heinz going out a couple weeks. So you could see there is some positioning for out of the money calls in case this name does catch momentum, and I think this is a good way to play it. The December 1334 calls, this is what I took. So short-term trade, I would almost consider this as an institutional lotto trade because they're not spending a lot of money. This is not like they're putting up a big block of trade of a trade going up. It's not a $500,000 premium trade or $1 million. They're probably about 150,000 on that trade, and couple of these smaller trades, which probably add up to about another 150,000. So maybe 250, 300,000. And this is a name that we saw a little bit of option activity after they reported earnings a couple days back. So weekly chart, right? One thing to notice, big downtrend. I would say if it gets above this 50-day moving average, that would kind of be your go in this name, right? Looking at the weekly chart to see that it's getting out of the downward channel. So this again would be a counter trend trade because it is in a steep downtrend, but maybe looking for a little bit of a reversion to the mean in this one. And you could see, so not only if we get just a little bit higher here and out of this little bull flag that's in the downtrend. The other thing to notice here, it's above the 200-day moving average. And then what's the strike that they're targeting here? They're targeting the 34 strike. So where's 34? Right in front of it. But you've got a huge earnings gap, and I think that's also why it might be hesitating a little bit here. But it could see, the earnings gap doesn't start actually till 36. So, if it gets up to 36, that would be a nice move considering that the 34 strike calls, they paid 30 cents. I paid 35 for them. But I'm looking for a move, and I think this would be a nice little reversion type trade. So I like it. If you're underexposed in value, I would think about Kraft. I talked about Berkshire Hathaway is the king of all value plays, which worked extremely well. It was a trade that we put on a couple weeks. This one I would call the mother of all value trades, Kraft Heinz. So again, if you're a little bit underexposed in value, this may be a nice way to do it. And if you're thinking about just going long the stock instead of options, just set your stop to the 200-day moving average. I love these little simple setups, and I think this one's a good one. And I like this flag that it's putting in. So again, if it breaks the 200-day moving average, I would use that stop, and I think that would kind of negate this bull flag pattern that we've got for now. But very close to making that next leg higher, and it looks like somebody's setting up that way in the options world. All right, thanks for watching. Have a great day. And again, everything in the video, information purposes only, not giving out any advice or recommendations. But I am long Kraft Heinz, December 13th. What strike is this? December 13th, 34 strike calls. Thanks.